Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Cool Table. We're in the cut with Gisun.
Hello, Adriel. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
The pleasure is all mine. We got a ton of stuff to talk about, and I want to start with talking about music heals and music therapy, just because for those who don't know this is even a thing, doesn't know this exists, Music Heals increases access to music therapy for patients in children's hospitals, senior centers, palliative care, AIDS and HIV programs, at-risk youth rehabilitation. And to date, they've helped over 32,000, has funded over 30,000 music therapy sessions. So I want to give a big shout out to them just off the top before we get into anything else. But this song, no, I'm not from that culture. I was on YouTube looking at all the different versions of the song. I got to hear the song, and everyone who listens to this interview got to hear the song as well. But can you tell me about the history of that song and like how long it's been around and like where that song even comes from?
Definitely. Yeah, thanks, Adriel. And yeah, huge shout out to Music Heals and to music therapists out there. The work that they're doing is so important, especially now because I think during like difficult times, it's even more relevant. And yeah, the song is Gracias a la vida, and that essentially means thanks to life. It was written by the Chilean author Violeta Parra in around 1966, I want to say. Um, Interestingly enough, it was kind of her ode to life as a sort of goodbye because she actually committed suicide like the following year. So it's an interesting song because it has so many different connotations. It's demonstrating this gratitude for life and really honing in on this like beautiful magic that like the small and simple joys of life bring to us. But on the other hand, it has this like very melancholy iteration because of the context of how she wrote it. So it's become this sort of like this humanitarian song of like love and gratitude and bringing people together, which I thought was super relevant for this past year's contexts.
Yo, 100%, 100% facts. Like it literally made so much sense for this to be the time for you guys to do this. Now, thanks to life being a theme, like when I was looking at the words to the song in English, the translation, I thought that was such a great theme with such a grateful energy for that song. I guess talk about like that part of the song and how important that is for all of you who were involved to be a part of something like that, because I feel like that's the grateful energy is something we need more of. I think in 2021 we all had to learn that firsthand, whether we liked it or not. So talk about, I guess, the importance of being a part of a song that has such a powerful message.
Definitely. Yeah, great question. I would say like, being in 2020, like, and sort of reconsidering what's most important to us, like what makes us, go day to day. Like, what are the simple pleasures and simple joys that like is what we need? And a lot of people, kind of came back to the idea of family, community, health, just people, and sort of noticing those small day to day aspects that really like keep us going as human beings, and the need for reconnectivity. And so it's interesting because a few of the vocalists who are involved in the on the song who speak different languages actually went through a translation process because for the music video we're going to have it closed captioned in French, Italian, and Portuguese as well.
Wow.
So I actually remember one of the vocalists who speaks Italian said that it was such a cathartic process for her to go through each line in English and translate it into Italian and just sort of like really connect with the meaning of
Mhm.
the song. And so I think, it's brought us a lot of like enlightenment too, just like noticing that kind of gratitude and the need to be grateful for what we do have.
I felt that too, just reading the lyrics, because it's not something you can ignore. This, like, there are tons of songs out there, we all know them, where the lyrics don't
Hmm.
mean anything, or you're like, this is what you guys are really saying this whole time. And
Yeah,
this is not one of those. And for anyone who does get a chance to kind of interpret the lyrics in their own way and read what they say, it's straightforward. There's no way you can miss that message. So I can understand that being a real cathartic experience. Talk about how you had, I guess, the idea to put this together, the inspiration, and then just deciding, from the people that you knew and didn't know, who wanted to be on this.
for sure. Great question. So this song sort of was always like in my life growing up. My grandmother, sort of, I guess, probably introduced it to me. And it's a huge song in South America. Everybody, and any Latina knows this music. So I grew up listening to it, and last year, around like the start of the pandemic, it was a very strange, difficult, uncertain time, as it still is for everyone. And for some reason, this song kept kind of playing in my head, and I kept singing it, and I kept like watching, videos of it and listening to Mercedes Sosa's version, which is kind of the one that like most people, I guess, are familiar with. Um, and all of a sudden it clicked where I said, you know what? Like, what better time to be, covering a song about the gratitude for life right now? And interestingly enough, around the same time in 2019, sort of in the beginning of the year, I had a pretty serious bike accident. And after that, I was just like, okay, like full gratitude for day to day living. Like just being alive is like such a blessing. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to reach out to a few of my colleagues from or former classmates from the new school, and someone else that was recommended to me, Sanssouci, who's based in the UK, and see if they wanted to be part of the song because I really wanted to like bring in that worldly, like multi-ethnic, multicultural, multilingual aspect into the song too. We have an artist in Montreal, we have Colombian, Puerto Rican artists in New York, we have an Ecuadorian artist, and Congolese, Italian, Sanssouci in London. So it's like a huge mix. And yeah, so I reached out, and thankfully they said yes. So here we are.
And then everyone doing their part, in the pandemic, creating. It's been odd for musicians in terms of, we've all gotten used to kind of sending songs back and forth over the past decade or so, but this is very different when that's the only option you had. How did that kind of affect that process?
Of course. Yeah, no, you're right. It's definitely like a tricky logistical puzzle that you have to put together. And yeah, I kind of enjoy the process. It's interesting because you never know what's really going to happen. Like you can only plan so much in advance. So thanks to the technology that we have, we were able to just all record from home because access to studios, don't exist right now, or they're very limited. So, I made sure that each vocalist has a basic microphone set up at home that they can record on, and essentially each person sent in their vocal take after I sent the guitar part that my guitarist in Toronto put together. So he essentially laid the foundation. Like he put together this beautiful classical guitar piece that accompanies each verse. So each vocalist sang their section, and my engineer, who's based in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Victor, he is like an angel. He's putting together, he put together the whole thing. Given how different vocal microphone qualities can be for him, it was like a huge task because each singer is using a different kind of mic. They have different kind of technologies, and so it's very difficult to have everything sound consistent and smooth. And yeah, Victor really like worked miracles on this song because I think it sounds pretty good.
I can imagine. It definitely sounds good. Like it's incredible. It's incredible the quality of work that we're seeing come out during this pandemic, because you're right. Like everyone recording on different microphones. We want all the quality to sound the same, and
Hmm.
and it's odd because we're all super aware. If they did sound different, I get it. We're in different places, things happen,
Right.
but you don't want it to sound like that. So it's even more incredible that it can still keep that level of quality, um,
Thank you. Yeah,
even through
agreed.
all of that. I want to talk
Totally.
about
Totally.
music therapy a little bit, because that's something, again, I didn't know existed. Probably a year ago, I definitely did not know that it even existed. I had the opportunity to speak with some people from the Canadian Music Therapy Fund that kind of put me on to what this is, and we were talking a bit before we started recording about how the funding for music therapy isn't always where we feel it should be. Talk about how this song is going to help change that.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was thinking, like music therapy is not on the radar as much as it could or should be. Music has such a healing power, and it's so important, I think, to hone in on that element of music because, music has all the purposes. It's there for you in any time of, emotional states. But it's also very healing for those who need it most. Like, as we said, like in hospitals, in care centers, in palliative care, it has so many uses. And so I think like music therapy in general, I mean, one of my best friends is a music therapist and she tells me her stories and how impactful and how strong, the messages can really come across with music therapy. And you can use any kind of instrument, you can use like your voice, you can use rhythm, you can use your body, you can use tapping and different percussive elements. Like it's so vast. So I think it's important to kind of like highlight those and put that more on people's radars just so that it's something that's more talked about and more used, whether in a formal music therapy context or just like on your own at home, because anyone can sort of hone in on that.
That is big, big facts. I remember talking to Hannah, you from the therapy fund, about how
Hmm.
it works with bereavement support, and
Yeah.
people really going through that, and you know the kind of knowledge about these options is the most important part here. Obviously, everyone can choose which they want to use, but we want people to be aware that music therapy is an option. So I think that this is doing an amazing job of that. I've been asking this to everyone so far, and I feel like I should ask this to you too. Quarantine has been tough for all of us. Just not something that any of us were mentally or physically prepared for. But there's been some positives. Everyone's learning new skills, spending more time with family. What's been your favorite part of this whole quarantine?
That's a great question. And I like that, that twist to it because yeah, as difficult as it has been, I think it's taught us so many lessons and sort of helped us to grow and develop in different ways and sort of come to different realizations too, upon those reflections. So yeah, I mean, as crazy as this last year has been, I think it's also been amazing and such a blessing to be able, at least for me, to reconnect so much, on different fronts, like musically, community-wise, friends-wise. Like the technology that we have is monumentous. The fact that we can chat and collaborate and video chat with people on different time zones and different continents like so easily. I mean, we always had this ability, Adriel. That's the interesting thing.
Crazy,
But
right?
it kind of, yeah, like it was always there. It existed, but it sort of like almost took a pandemic to make it click to be like, "Oh wait, like let's do this. Let's actually connect, reconnect. Let's, support each other. Let's, check in on each other. Let's show that kind of love." that I think a lot of people, in our day-to-day lives, are so busy usually, like in, pre-2020, we're just like go, go, go nonstop. And you don't often have the time and energy and space to like sit down and think about like, okay, what matters most? Like what is like so important in our lives? And when it comes down to it, it's, a lot of it for a lot of people, it's people, it's our community. And so I think that takeaway from this last year for me and reconnecting with the ones I love, and ones that I hadn't been in as much touch with, has been beautiful. Yeah. How about you?
I think I'm the same way. Like, um, as I was quick to kind of realize what was going on. As soon as the NBA canceled, I said, "That's it
Mm-hmm.
for me. I'm out of here." And
Yeah.
I came back to my parents' house, and you know, anyone who knows me knows my mom is the goat. So getting to see my mom every single day without fail is
Mhm.
something that I've just been like, very, very happy about. So it's been like, shout out to the rest of my family, to my brothers, my dad, but getting to see everyone every single day, because that's something that again you take for granted. And I even saw that
Totally.
coming back home with the rest of my family, because I had been the only one away from home, and everyone else got to see each other every day. So it wasn't as big a deal for everybody else. But me, I was like, you guys want to watch something? Like, want to do like,
Yeah,
it was like exciting experience for me. So I'm with you. Like, the people that really matter to you, getting to spend that extra time with them, especially because I got some friends who are either in tough living situations or by themselves during this time, and it takes a toll. So that has been huge,
for
for
sure.
sure.
For sure. Definitely. It all comes down to those shared experiences.
This is another one that we ask everyone on the show, and I'm very interested to hear your answer for this. I somehow get the feeling that you're going to give us something amazing. When people get a lot of money and get to that certain level of status, we see they buy exotic animals. Mike Tyson with his tiger, Justin Bieber with his monkey. It just seems like the thing you do once you have an exorbitant amount of money. Is there an exotic animal that would be a good pet for you once you get to that level?
Oh my goodness, what a question. Funny enough, I didn't even know that that was a thing. I didn't realize that people are into buying exotic animals. Well, I think that question would be, pretty like irrelevant to my context. I don't think I'd buy an exotic animal. So I don't know if that's what you thought I was gonna say, but I don't know. I come from a very environmentalist sort of background, and I'm very conscious about like our sustainability and wildlife and beings and all of that. And I don't think exotic animals should belong in someone's home. Like, I don't think we should
Agreed. Agreed.
own an like I mean, yeah, that I think they belong in their habitats. They
The
belong in the
habitat.
wild.
I had
Yeah.
someone else. I had a feeling that's the side that you would be on, and I had someone else who felt that way, and they're like, "This is not exotic, but I would have a farm." and I said,
Yeah, that's a great point.
and I said, you know what? I like that. I like that. Yeah.
I love
I
that. I love that.
I think it's so interesting because some people have thought about this before, oddly enough, and have an answer right away.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah. So
Interesting.
it's funny on that side, and then as well, like, I had a couple people on who are vegan, so obviously that's a tough question for them to answer, and I always wonder what is in that situation, because sometimes people I'd be like,
Right.
I don't think I would do that, but this animal would be cool, and it's always that outlier. So I always think that question is so interesting.
It's a really quirky question. I like it. I like it. It makes you really like consider your values and sort of like where you stand on that front. But yeah, it's a great question. I think, yeah, if you had all the money in the world, put it towards like restoring a wildlife habitat for,
For sure.
whatever
It's especially weird
species.
for me because, like, my family's from Jamaica. Anyone who's been to Jamaica knows that they don't keep dogs in the
Hmm.
house like that. That's just not that's just not something that happens. And then,
Yeah.
here in Canada, where people are very obsessed with their animals,
Oh my
and
gosh, yeah.
their dogs have their own TVs and iPads and clothes. Yeah,
Seriously.
and it's like, This is so it's just so different. It's so
It is
different.
so different. Yeah, like animal like pets here are treated on like a next level than like like, in most countries in the world. It's crazy.
Oh, people treat pets better than they treat people.
Yeah.
I honestly feel that way. Like
Yeah.
I think about I forget the name of the gorilla, but there's a gorilla that was, I guess, supposed to be put down in the zoo a couple years back, and it was a huge story. And I said, this is a gorilla. He shouldn't even be here in the first place. You have to
Yes,
understand this. Like we
seriously.
already took him from his home, and then thought to put him down, and now you guys are upset. And think about how you treat the people of the city.
It's so true. Oh my gosh, 100%. It's like you really have to, yeah, put things into perspective sometimes to realize like,
Mhm.
yeah, it really comes down to that. Exactly.
So we have a segment that we do every week on the show called Wednesday Wisdom, brought to us by our boy Brandon Gibbs. Now he is a motivational quote or saying that he goes over to kind of keep everyone motivated during the week. Now, do you have anything that you keep in your mind that you tell others that either helps you feel better when you're feeling down or keeps you motivated when it's hard to find that motivation?
Hmm. Interesting question. I don't necessarily, yeah, I don't necessarily have like a saying or a mantra or like a specific like word of wisdom, but let me think about this for a sec. I mean, I think now with the context that we have, like it's what I would say is like noticing the little things, noticing like how great it is to like wake up every morning and to, make your cup of coffee or your tea. Noticing how beautiful the sunlight coming in through the window looks and like the trees blooming and noticing the small things because those are like really the joys that I think, are constant and that we can really appreciate and be grateful for. So reminding us ourselves of that.
Yo, 1,000% agree. I did an interview last week where someone asked me a variation of that question, and I was like,
Yeah, what would you say, Drew?
the fact that our biggest, you know, our biggest problem isn't walking 45 miles to drink water that's going to kill us. That just the fact that that's not our problem that we're worrying about,
Mm-hmm.
we're good.
Yeah,
We're good.
totally.
The group of the world that is killing themselves to kill themselves, like what the fact that that's not our worry is like we're good. We're fine.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to be where we are. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, just recognizing that
Yeah.
is huge.
No, agreed. I want to thank you again for joining us on the show. It's honestly been a pleasure.
Oh,
I feel
thanks,
like we could
Adriel.
talk a whole lot more. Maybe we should, I heard there's a project coming, so I'm excited for us to talk again because I feel like we didn't even touch the surface of all the things that we could discuss here today. But I want
Agreed.
to thank you again for joining the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Adriel. Same here. I'm very grateful for this conversation and that, yeah, we're continuing on. I'm sure we can chat, yeah, so much more about this. There's lots to talk about and cover, but yeah, this was great. Thank you for having me.
It's honestly been my pleasure. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, make sure you give us a rating and review. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. That's the Cool Table Live on YouTube. And then until next time, know yourself, know your worth.